Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things and welcome to another video. And today, welcome to my first book haul of 2024. So I have a few books to talk to you about today that I have recently acquired. Most of these were Christmas presents, and then I have a couple of books to talk about at the end that I didn't get for Christmas, but the majority of these are Christmas presents, and I will start off with the classics. So one book I got for Christmas, which I'm very excited to read this year, which in fact I've already started reading, is this, and this is London Labour and the London Poor by Henry Mayhew. So Henry Mayhew was a Victorian journalist, and London Labour and the London Poor is his kind of magnum opus. It's a really long, detailed account of people working and living in London who were on the poverty line, and it is really interesting and kind of a really important historical source. I have read bits of it before in various anthologies or when I was studying history at university, but I haven't read it in volume form and I would really like to, so I'm very excited to have this. So this is the Penguin Black Spine Classics edition. This is a selection of London Labour and the London Poor. This is effectively abridged because I think the actual full edition of London Labour and the London Poor with all the articles is like 2,000 pages long, but this one is like 500 pages of kind of selected passages from it, and I think this will be a really interesting read. Well, I say that, I've already started reading it. It is a really interesting read. I am 30 pages in, and I'm basically going to read this one very slowly over the course of probably several months. Towards the end of 2023, to help me get through more books, I implemented what I'm going to call a tea book, which is a book that lives in the kitchen that I read while I am waiting for the kettle to boil and waiting for my tea to brew, because I work from home, and if I leave my desk to go make a cup of tea, I do usually have a 5 to 10 minute break. So in 2023 I read a few books that way, a non-fiction book that had very short chapters and some poetry, and I thought London Labour and the London Poor would be a good book to read that way because it is fairly dense, and I'm not sure I would want to read it all in one go, but also it has quite short chapters. So I have read a bit of it so far in that way, and I will keep on reading it that way throughout the rest of the year. It will probably take me 2-3 months to finish, I would have thought. It's very nice to own this physically because this is one of the books that's on my 2024 to 2025 Victorian Literature TBR, and hopefully I will have finished this off relatively soon. Another book that is on my 2024 to 2025 Victorian Literature TBR is this. This is The Doctor's Wife by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I have read 2 books by Mary Elizabeth Braddon before, one of which was Lady Audley's Secret, which I absolutely loved, and one of which was Aurora Floyd, which I didn't like nearly so much, though I did still really like the writing style. So I'm really keen to read more by her, and I've heard good things about The Doctor's Wife. I don't know much about the plot of this, and I'm not going to risk reading the back of this book because we all know that classic editions like to give spoilers on the back of them at times. But I am really excited to read this. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I'll get to it relatively soon. Then another thing I got for Christmas is this very beautiful little edition of A Christmas Carol, which has hand-painted edges, which is really cool. So this is one of the Wordsworth collection editions, but the hand painting on the spine has been done by someone else. This is really cool and very pretty, and a lovely edition of A Christmas Carol. I always like to have more editions of A Christmas Carol because it is one of my favourite books, and this does have fun illustrations in it too, which I love. So those were the classics I got for Christmas, and then I have a few contemporary books as well. So here I have The Winter Spirits, which I'm very excited to own. So this is a short story anthology. The subtitle is Ghostly Tales for Frosty Nights, and this is the follow-up to The Haunting Season, which I read and loved the year it came out, and basically this is a short story anthology of ghostly stories by a variety of authors, including basically all of my favourite historical fiction authors. So there are short stories in this anthology from Bridget Collins, Imogen Hermes Gower, Kieran Millwood Hargrave, Andrew Michael Hurley, Jess Kidd, Elizabeth McNeil, Natasha Pulley, Laura Purcell, Laura Shepherd Robinson, Susan Stokes Chapman, Stuart Turton, and Katrina Ward. So a really wonderful selection of writers in here, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. I'm sure I will absolutely love it, as I loved The Haunting Season. I think I'm probably going to save this for November, December 2024, because I feel like it's going to be relatively ghostly and Christmassy, so I'm probably not going to read it for a few months, but I'm very, very excited to get to it when I do. Talking of short story collections, I also got this for Christmas. This is The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Disha Philyor, and I'm really, really excited to read this one. So this is, I think, a series of interconnected short stories that follows the lives of various Black women who are kind of linked together all by going to the same church. I think that's right, but now I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I have just thought they all go to the same church because of the title. I'm not 100% certain whether or not that's true. However, I feel like I've definitely heard that this is a series of interconnected short stories, and I've also heard wonderful things about this. Like, I feel like this is one of those books that everyone who reads it absolutely loves it. So I'm really excited to read this one. I think it will be really good. I love short stories, and interconnected short stories especially, so really looking forward to reading this one later this year. Then another book I got for Christmas was this. This is A Bitter Remedy by Alice Hawkins, and I'm really looking forward to this one. This was one of my most anticipated books for 2023. This is a murder mystery novel set in late Victorian Oxford and follows what happens when two young undergraduate students who are both kind of misfits team up to try and find out what happened after one of their fellow students is found dead. This sounds really, really interesting, and I'm keen to read more kind of historical murder mysteries this year because there's something I really enjoy. If anyone has any recommendations, let me know. And I'm really looking forward to A Bitter Remedy. I have high hopes for this. Then the final book I got for Christmas, which I'm really excited for, is this. This is The Bookbinder of Jericho by Pip Williams. I read Pip Williams's debut novel, The Dictionary of Lost Words, a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was just fantastic. It was such a good book, so I'm really, really excited to read her follow-up. I don't know very much about it, but I kind of feel like I don't need to because I know that I love Pip Williams and that she is an amazing writer. From a quick look at the blurb, it sounds like this novel is about female bookbinders during the First World War, so that sounds excellent. I'm very, very excited for this one. I'm kind of hopeful that this might make the Walter Scott Prize for Historical Fiction longlist this year because Pip Williams's first book did. That was how I found out about it, and why I initially read The Dictionary of Lost Words. So I'm kind of hoping that this might be on the long list for the Walter Scott Prize this year, which would be a good excuse to read it in a few months' time. But if not, I'll read it at some point later in the year. I'm really looking forward to this one. So those are all the books that I got for Christmas this year. I do have two more books to talk to you about, but before I do, I also wanted to show you something literary that I got for Christmas that is not a book, and that is this puzzle, The World of the Brontes, which I'm very excited to do. I have really got into doing puzzles in the last year, and I find them really, really enjoyable, really relaxing, and it's also very satisfying to listen to an audiobook while doing a literary puzzle. So I'm very excited to have a Bronte puzzle. I think this will be really fun. I've already enjoyed spotting lots of Bronte references in the image on the back, so I'm really looking forward to putting this together at some point. Maybe I will do a video of it. I don't know how exciting it really is to watch me put a puzzle together, but you know, I might find it fun to edit. But yeah, I think this will be fun. It's nice to have another literary puzzle to do. I have done some of the other puzzles in the same series. I've done the Jane Austen one, the Charles Dickens one, the Sherlock Holmes one, and the Shakespeare one, all of which I really enjoyed doing, so I'm looking forward to that. Then the next book I want to show you is a review copy that I've been sent. This is a book that's coming out in the middle of March, and this is The Great Divide by Cristina Henriquez. This is a work of historical fiction that I'm really excited for. It sounds really interesting. So this is set in the early 20th century, and it's about the building of the Panama Canal. It sounds like it's going to focus on the building of the canal and the labourers and workers who were instrumental in that, who are kind of forgotten from history. So it sounds like this is going to be a really interesting read. I have high hopes and I'm looking forward to getting to it soon. Then the final book I want to show you in this haul is this. This is Vany the Vampire, Feast of Blood, Volume 1 by James Malcolm Rymer. So I don't know how many people who watch my channel also watch Jennifer Brooks on BookTube, but some of you will know that Jennifer Brooks, another booktuber, passed away earlier in January. We had mostly interacted, I would say, in the comments of each other's videos, but we'd been watching each other's videos for 4-5 years. I've been watching her channel since she started it in 2019, and she has been one of my absolute favourite booktubers. Her content was just amazing. I did put together a list of some of my favourite of her videos, especially those on Victorian literature, which I put up in the community posts tab, but I will leave that down below in the description as well in case anyone wants to go and watch her videos. She made some fantastic content in general, and her Victober videos were always absolutely amazing. And Varney the Vampire was her favourite Victorian novel, so I thought I would buy it and read it in her honour. It is a slightly unusual Victorian novel because Vany the Vampire was a penny dreadful, and I'll link Jennifer's amazing video about penny dreadfuls down below. But Vany the Vampire was a penny dreadful, so it was a serialised novel, but in comparison to serialised novels by authors like Dickens, Varney the Vampire was less of a serialised novel and more like a TV series or a soap opera. We have a name of the author, but I don't think we're 100% certain whether or not he wrote the whole thing, and it is very long. This is volume 1. This massive book is half of Varney the Vampire, and this is 633 pages as it is. So the whole thing is like well over 1,000 pages. So I only bought volume 1 for now, and I think I'm basically going to treat it like a duology. Like I'll read volume 1, and if I like it I will continue and get volume 2 as well. This is a really cool edition because it has been retypeset to be easy to read, but in the style of a penny dreadful. So I'll show you if I can find a good page. Yeah, so it's been typeset like in columns and with the original illustrations from Vany the Vampire, which I think will be a really special way to read this. I am really, really excited to read this one. I'm not always like super keen on vampires, but I feel like I've never read a Victorian penny dreadful before. It'll be a really, really interesting reading experience to like see what penny dreadfuls were like. And Jennifer Brooks just talked so amazingly about the characterization and the plotting in Varney the Vampire that I'm just like really, really excited to read it. I think this would just be a really interesting read. I kind of haven't decided whether or not I'm going to read it soon or save it for Victober this year. Or read it in sections because it is very serialised and very long, but I am really excited to get to it. So those are all the books that I wanted to tell you about today. I am really excited to get to all of these. I think there's a lot of really interesting books here that I'm really looking forward to. Do let me know in the comments if you have read any of these and would especially recommend them. But that's all for now, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.